Hello and good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning. All right, y'all, come on up in here. Come on up in here. What's going on, everybody? Okay. Ooh, child, my phone. Ooh, what's going on with that? Okay. Hello, hello. I'm just waiting for y'all to come in. I ain't gonna wait too much long. I'm just gonna go ahead and proceed with what I got to do so we can get this done. We don't have that much time because after me, coffee with the kings. Hey, Melissa, what's going on? Good morning, Melissa. How are you? I hope all is well this morning. Happy Wednesday. No, today is Thursday. Yeah, the week is almost up. Okay, now I know where I'm going. Where am I going? Where am I going? All right, y'all, come on in here. Yes, gather around, because I got some things I want to share with y'all this morning, and that's why I decided to come in. Now, of course, you guys know who I am. I am His Majesty McRae. And this is not Coffee with the Kings, but following me, Coffee with the Kings will air at 11:30 a.m. today. Yes, at 11:30 a.m. you will see Coffee with the Kings. But right now, we are doing my segment of Up Close and Personal, Surviving Diabetes. So, your doctor has told you you have diabetes, or your doctor has told you you are borderline. You have a borderline diabetes. So, I'm going to give you all the information that you may need just in case you find yourself in this situation or if you're in this situation. So, with that being said, we're going to get started. All right. All right, let me just say hello to a couple people in the room. I see Melissa. I see I am Justini. Good morning, Justini. Hey, Terry Hughes and Auntie Pee Wee. What's going on? Okay. And y'all want to see my face? Do y'all want to see my pretty face? All right. Here I go. Here I go. Here I go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our channel. Okay, well, this morning I want to have a discussion with you about diabetes. Yes, diabetes. For those of you that don't know, I am a type 2 diabetic. I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes back in 2005, and I was devastated. Now, although diabetes is something that runs in my family, because diabetes is hereditary. If your mom or your dad had it, the chances of you getting it are very good. It's possible that you may get it if your parents had it, or if your grandparents had it, or if your great grandparents had it. You may stand a chance of being diagnosed with diabetes. But I was diagnosed with diabetes at 40 years old. Yes, 40 years old. Now, the reason why I was so devastated is because I thought it was going to pass me by. I was always under the assumption, a lot of people are under the assumption that when you're diabetic, it's because you're overweight, you don't eat right, things like that. But that's not necessarily true. Yes, there are a lot of people that are obese that do get diagnosed with diabetes. But I'm going to tell you this: those people are the ones that I call them the lucky ones, because I'd say about 80% of the time, if you are obese or if you are overweight, you can reverse your diabetes. There's several ways to do that, and we'll cover that. This is just part one of surviving diabetes. So we will be talking about that. But today we are going to talk about the beginning, you know. Um, as I stated, I was diagnosed with diabetes at 40 years old, and I was very, very devastated. I was in denial. I was in a lot of denial. And as a result of me being devastated and in denial, I continued to live my life as if I did not have diabetes. And that was the biggest mistake that I ever made in my whole entire life. If I had it to do all over again, I would damn sure do it different. Because as a result of me being in denial, I did a lot of damage to my body. And that's why I am here today, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. Hold on for one sec. Okay, hold on. I'm just turning this mic up. Can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me, right? Okay, there we go. There we go. Yes, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. I made a lot of mistakes when I got diagnosed with diabetes. As I stated, I continued to live my life the way I was living it. I was drinking Pepsi. That was my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I was drinking Pepsi. I loved Pepsi. Pepsi was my best friend. Every single morning, I would drink a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. Yes, I did. And I just paid my diabetes no mind. Kind of got away with it in the beginning. I took my medication. I was on medication. I was on one medication. I had one medication. That's all I had to do was get up every single morning, take one medication, and test my blood sugar 3 times a day. Okay. If I could go back to that. Oh my God, if I could go back to that. Well, guys, I was in denial. I was so in denial that, like I said, I kept on living my life the way I used to. I was drinking my Pepsi. I was eating my cake. I was eating my candy. I was eating my cookies. I was doing all kinds of stuff, child, that I ain't had no business doing. And guess what happened? Yeah. The first thing to hit me, I was at work, and I was sitting on the bench, and I was having my lunch, and then all of a sudden I felt this sharp pain in my back, on my right side, in my back, and in my arm, and in my leg. And it was painful. It was painful. Every time I sat down, it was very, very painful. Um, and so I went to the doctor. And he sent me to a specialist. He sent me to a neurologist. I went to the neurologist, and the neurologist did a series of tests on me, which I will never do again. They did what they call a shock test, an EEG. What they do is they take these needles and they stick them in your different parts of your body, your arms, your legs, and other parts of your body, and they send an electrical shock to the needle to see how your body is going to respond to it. That was my first experience to finding out that I had diabetic neuropathy. I had nerve damage. My nerves have been damaged in my body. They started to get damaged in my body. And I developed a condition called ulnar neuropathy. Ulnar neuropathy is it's kind of like a sciatic nerve here in your arm. And so they sent me to physical therapy. I went to physical therapy every 2 weeks, and they would have me do these little exercises like this. And, I kept on having to do this, and then that wasn't working. The physical therapy was not working. So they moved me on to the next thing. They gave me these little gloves, right? Okay. Matter of fact, let me go get them. One moment. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so then they gave me these little gloves. See this thing? They gave me one of these. They actually gave me 2. And I would have to wear these gloves every single day. And trust me when I tell you, this is a task. I had to put these gloves on and I had to wear them. Yes, I'd wear these. Now, usually these gloves they give to people that have issues from typing, you know. Um, I forget what they call it, but it's a certain condition that you have. Um, and they gave me other gloves like this. I had these type of gloves as well um, to wear on my hands. And they alleviated the pain just a little bit, but not a lot. But I still was in denial. Okay. I was still in denial. And I still continued to do what I was doing. I was drinking my Pepsi, my cookie, my candy, just eating anything I wanted to eat, going to the Popeyes and eating the cheeseburgers and all that other good stuff. Ooh, I was having a good time, y'all, child. Okay. One day, I was walking down the street. I crossed the street, right? And I went totally blind. Totally blind. Yes. I went totally blind. I lost my vision as I was crossing the street. Unfortunately, something tragic happened at that time when I crossed the street. There was a man um, that was crossing the street as well. He was coming my way. And when I went blind, he thought that I had purposely crashed into him. And he ended up beating me up. I ended up in the hospital for 2 months as a result of that beating that I got when I went blind. Yeah. Um, Things got worse. I got my vision back. It took about 2 months, but I got my vision back. But then things got worse. One day, I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't walk. I could not walk. When I stood up, when I tried to stand up to walk, my legs felt just like jelly, and I would fall to the ground. So I lost the use of my legs. Um, I was told I lost the use of my legs because of the neuropathy. In addition to losing the loss of my legs, um, I had excruciating pain. Um, it was terrible. It was just a travesty, guys. It really was. It was a travesty. Um, Once I lost the use of my legs, I had excruciating pain. And so the doctors started prescribing to me a very, very strong pain medication. And they gave me a wheelchair. So I was in a wheelchair, and um, although I got my vision back, I wasn't able to see that well. You know, my vision was still cloudy. Um, then some other things happened. I started to notice that I was not going to the bathroom. You know, I was not going to the bathroom. And I'm not talking about number one, I'm talking about number two. I wasn't going to the bathroom a lot. I was going to the bathroom maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. And I couldn't understand why. Well, I went to the hospital, went to the emergency room, told the doctor that I was not able to go to the bathroom on a regular basis. And so he sent me to a specialist. Well, they actually did a test on me. They did a test on my stomach. I went into the hospital and they fed me these eggs, you know, just some scrambled eggs. And they laid me down on this gurney and they put this camera on my stomach. It was kind of like an ultrasound type thing. And I had to lay there for a couple of hours. I think it was about 3 or 4 hours. And after they completed the test, I was diagnosed with another condition called gastroparesis. Now, gastroparesis is also a condition of nerve damage. See, when you're diabetic, the one thing that hurts you the most is nerve damage. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that about diabetics. We get a lot of nerve damage. So, gastroparesis is a condition that causes nerve damage in your stomach muscles and your nerves. And it attacks the nerves that digest your food. So, where a normal person could eat a meal, a full meal, let's say dinner, a starch, a vegetable, a meat, and it can digest in, let's say, an hour. It would sometimes take my food about 16 to 24 hours to digest. So that's why I was not using the bathroom on a regular, because the nerve damage in my stomach was causing my food to digest at a very, very slow rate. Yes. And so I moved on. I did well for a little while, because at this time I had made a decision that I was really tired of, you know, enduring all the painful things that I was enduring, the neuropathy, the gastroparesis, the going blind. And so I, um, I did well for a little while. I decided that I would take a diabetes education class, and that was one of the greatest things that I ever did. I took a diabetes education class because I wanted to know how to manage my disease. I took the diabetes education class, and it helped me out so much. I was able to take my medications. I was able to eat correctly. And, everything was fine. Then it happened. Although I was fine, doing well, managing my diabetes, I had did so much damage to my body that there were some things that were just irreversible. So my doctor told me, he said, Mr. McRae, the one medication that you're taking for your diabetes is not helping at all. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to put you on insulin. And I was devastated because that was the last thing I wanted to do. There were two things that I was always afraid of: insulin and kidney disease. Yes, insulin and kidney disease. So, coming from a long line of diabetics, my sister, she had diabetes and she was taking insulin. She was on insulin. And I went to her and I told her that my doctor had placed me on insulin, and he told me I was going to have to take insulin 4 times a day. And so she said, well, Tramel, it's a headache, but you have to do what you have to do. And so my sister was the first person to ever give me a dose of insulin. When I got my insulin, I went to my sister's house, and had at that time they didn't have what they have now. Now they have the insulin pens like this. They had the insulin pens. They didn't have these back when I first got diagnosed with diabetes. They had, the little vial, and you had a syringe, and you had to take the syringe, and you had to fill the syringe up, and you had to stick yourself. So they say the best place to stick yourself is in your stomach. I was like, oh my God, you mean to tell me I'm going to have to give myself a shot in my stomach 4 times a day? Oh no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No, not me. It's not going to happen. So it happened. I sat there and I cried. I looked at the needle and I cried. And I looked at the needle and I cried some more and I cried some more. But I knew that I had to do this. So I just, I don't know. I got the strength. I just asked God for strength, and God, I said, God, please just order my steps and give me strength to do this. And I gave myself a shot in my stomach. And that was back in 2009. Yeah, 2009. So that was like 12 years ago. And I've been insulin dependent for 12 years. 12 years I've been insulin dependent. I take my insulin 4 times a day. I take it before meals, and that's my fast acting insulin. There's two different types of insulins that I take: a fast acting and a long acting. It's like a time release. So I take my fast acting insulin before each meal, and then I take my long lasting insulin at night before I go to bed. Okay. So that's been my life for the past 12 years. There have been some improvements, but unfortunately, there has been some some bad things that have happened. For instance, 2 years ago, when I got married, I was diagnosed with kidney disease. So now, to add to the roster of conditions I have diabetic neuropathy, I have retinopathy, I have ulnar neuropathy, I have gastroparesis, yes, gastroparesis, and I have kidney disease, yes. Now these things that I have now are as a result of me all those years being in denial and not doing what I was supposed to do when I first got diagnosed. Had I done everything that I was supposed to do, had I, given myself a regimen and stuck to it, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today with all the conditions that I have. I probably wouldn't. So I'm telling you this story simply because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. Okay? If you have gone to the doctor and the doctor has said to you, you have diabetes or you are borderline diabetic, know this, that you have an opportunity to reverse it. Both, not just one, but both. If you are a type 2 diabetic, see, and there's a difference. Type 1 diabetics are diabetics that are born with diabetes. Those they're type 1s. That's a type 1 diabetic. A type 2 diabetic is someone that actually gets diagnosed with the disease, later on in life, as an adult. So you have an opportunity, I promise you. You have an opportunity to reverse it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you reverse your diabetes. The first step that you're going to want to take once you have been diagnosed with diabetes is you are going to want to take your medicine faithfully every single day. You are also going to eat correctly. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, when you're diabetic, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have cake, you can't have cookies, you can't have candy, you can't have this, you can't. No, that's not true. That's not totally true. It varies. It depends on every individual is different. Some people can have those things as diabetic. Some people can. Now, if you are an obese person, then I suggest that you find some way of managing your eating habits. Not going on a diet, because diets don't work. Managing your eating habits. And when I say that, you have to learn how to manage your eating habits. As a as a diabetic, I suggest that you take a diabetes education class. They are offered at any hospital. They are offered at community health centers. They are offered all over. Take a diabetes education class so you will know what diabetes is all about. I implore you to do that. Okay? Your eating habits. Remember this. This is all you have to remember. For those of you that are in the chat that have diabetes, remember this. Make a fist. I want you to make a fist. Let me know who's making a fist. Who's making a fist? Let me know who's making a fist. Who's making a fist? Somebody answer me in the chat. Who's making a fist? Who's making a fist? Is everybody making a fist? All right, Terry, are you making a fist? Good. Make a fist, Terry. Everybody that has diabetes in this chat, I want you to make a fist. Make a fist just like this. Now, this is all you have to remember as a diabetic when it comes to your eating habits. A fist is a portion. Whatever it is that you want to eat, you can eat anything you want to. I promise you that. You can eat anything you want. It's not what you eat, it's how much of it you eat. You have to limit yourself to a portion. That's it. Once that portion is gone, you can't have any more. Okay? Also remember, just about everything breaks down into a sugar. Potatoes breaks down into a sugar. Rice breaks down into a sugar. Noodles break down into a sugar. Stay away from fresh fruits because fruits are natural sugar, and that's really bad for you. Okay, so you make a fist when you go to that buffet, or when you're at that wedding, or when you're at that banquet, and they have everything set out buffet style, and you say, "Ooh, I'm gonna give me some of that chicken. Ooh, I'm gonna give me some of the meatballs. Ooh, I'm gonna give me some of the mashed potatoes." Remember this. You can only have a portion. That's it. A portion. That's it. Stay away from dark sodas. No dark sodas. Really, you should stay away from soda, period. The diet sodas, although they are okay and don't have any sugar in them, you have to remember they have a lot of processed ingredients. Stay away from processed foods. Stay away from those hungry man dinners in the frozen section. Stop eating at McDonald's. Stop eating at Kentucky Fried Chicken and Burger King and Taco Bell. You got to eat a full, well-balanced meal. Make sure that you are eating a well-balanced meal. Make sure that you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And where I come from, supper. Okay? And when you do, make sure that you eat something from all the food groups. Now, vegetables are harmless. You can always have vegetables. You can have as much vegetables as you want. Now, this is what I suggest for people that are overweight or maybe obese when you get diagnosed with diabetes. This is what I suggest. You should, instead of eating on a plate, you should eat on a saucer. Yes, you should eat on a saucer. You're looking at someone that was almost 300 pounds. 300. Never been on a diet in my whole entire life. I just changed the way I ate. Instead of eating on a plate, I would eat on a saucer. And I would put as much food I could fit on that saucer. And that's what I would eat, and that's all I would eat. Don't eat anything after hours. Okay? You set a time for yourself. Say, I'm not going to have anything else to eat after 8 p.m. and stick to that regimen. Make sure you get yourself plenty of protein and watch your carbs. Watch your carbs. Stay away from the sugar if you can. If you're going to eat sugar, if you're going to use sugar, like if you're going to have a cup of coffee and you are going to use sugar, limit yourself. Limit yourself to the least amount. To the least amount. And what I mean by that is if you take a cup like this, McRae Kingz cup, you can get that at the McRae Kingz boutique. If you take a cup like this and you have yourself a cup of coffee, okay, and you want to put some sugar in there just for, just for sweetness, 1 spoon, 1 tablespoon of sugar. That's it. Now it's not going to taste sweet. You may get a little flavor out of it, but it's not going to taste sweet. This is what you have to do. I promise you, if you do these things, you won't have any problems. Type 2 diabetics, you won't have any problems whatsoever. You have to train yourself to not eat the things that you want to eat. You have to train yourself not to eat too much of it. You have to do it in moderation. Now, I'll tell you what I do. My regimen is I have my breakfast, I have lunch, I have dinner, and then before I go to bed at night, I have a snack. Well, I've been doing a whole lot of snacking because Joseph got me on these pills to gain weight. So I've been doing a little bit more than snacking because he said my ass is too small. And the doctor told me I need to gain some weight too. I take my medication in the morning. I only have to take 1 medication in the afternoon. That's my blood pressure medication. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't mention that to you guys. Now I have the high blood pressure as well. I have high blood pressure. Now, I want to talk to those who have been to the doctor and the doctor has told you that you are borderline diabetic. They've said to you, okay, Mr. McRae, you're borderline diabetic. What that means is that you're in between having diabetes and not having diabetes. If you follow these steps, then you can reverse this. If your doctor tells you that you are borderline diabetic, this is my suggestion to you. You listen and do every single thing that that doctor tells you to do. Do everything he tells you to do. If it's exercise, if he says you need to exercise more, then you get you a gym membership and you go and you exercise at least 15 minutes a day. Or you walk after meals. But you get yourself some type of exercise. If your doctor says change your eating habits, then change your eating habits. I promise you, you do not want to get diabetes. For those of you that have been told that you are borderline diabetic, you are one of the luckiest people in the world. I wish that a doctor would tell me at this moment that I am borderline, because I would do everything that I possibly could do in my power to reverse it. Listen to your doctor. Listen to your doctor, and I promise you, you won't go wrong. Now, for those of you that are obese, for obese people, there's two different ways that you can go. Your doctor is going to tell you you have to eat right, you have to exercise, you have to make sure that you do everything. You have to watch your carbs and so on and so forth. But most people that are obese usually have a surgery. They have the surgery. They have gastric bypass surgery. They have the gastric sleeve or something like that. And under normal circumstances, if you follow the directions of your doctor, you can reverse your diabetes in less than 30 days once you have the surgery. I know that for a fact. My mom, who was diabetic, um, she wasn't obese, but she was on the heavy side. And so the doctor recommended her for the gastric sleeve surgery. And she lost the weight. And let me just say this about gastric sleeve surgery, because I hear so many people say, so have, I hear so many horror stories about it. And listen, don't go by what somebody else's experience is, because their experience is not your experience. So if you know someone that has had gastric sleeve surgery and they had issues, they had problems, or so on and so forth, that's their experience. That's not your experience. Remember that. That's not your experience. Okay? There is now, they've made so many great strides in gastric sleeve surgery and gastric bypass surgery now. They've made so many great strides. First of all, it's an in and out surgery, it's a 1 day surgery. They go in, they put the sleeve in, you're out the same day. Okay? It used to be that, you would have the surgery, you had to stay in the hospital for a couple of weeks and da da da. Then you don't have to do that no more. Now, you have the surgery 1 day and you're out. But before you have the surgery, they send you to a psychiatrist. They send you to a psychiatrist to make sure that everything is okay up here. Not only do they do that, they make you practice how to eat. And by that I mean, they tell you, they say, well, Miss McRae, you know, before you have the surgery, we're going to show you how to eat. And they teach you how to eat. So once you do have the surgery, you'll be able to manage. Most people that have the surgery can eat about a shot glass full of food, and that's really it for the first couple of weeks. Then after that, you move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But your diabetes is usually reversed, and the reason why is because of your eating habits. That's what diabetes is all about. It's all about what you take in. That's what it is. It's all about what you take in. So remember that. Remember that, guys. And like I said, I would not wish diabetes on my worst enemy. I wouldn't. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Like I said, if I had it to do all over again, I would totally do it different. Listen to your body and listen to your doctor. Get a regimen. Maintain that regimen. Be consistent with it. And you'll be okay. Now, I am going to see if anybody has any questions in the chat that they would like for me to answer. Feel free to ask me any questions. Anybody. If you have a parent, if you are someone that is struggling with diabetes, whatever, feel free to ask me any questions that you'd like. Thank you so very much, Brown Sugar Lady. And that is the reason why I'm doing this. The reason why I am doing this is because I want to save somebody's life. I do. I want to save somebody's life. Diabetes is not, and let me just say this about people that don't have diabetes. You have loved ones that have diabetes. If you are one of those people that say, now, Tramel, you ain't supposed to have that. Don't be eating that. You're doing more harm than good. It's like telling a fat person they can't eat. I don't need for you to tell me what I can and cannot eat. I don't need you to tell me how to manage my diabetes, especially when you don't have diabetes. That is the worst thing that you can do to someone. It's mental abuse. Don't tell someone how to manage their diabetes. It's very personal. It is. It's very personal. And like I said, it's not easy. Having diabetes is not easy. Managing diabetes is not an easy thing. We as diabetics, we know that we have to do it, but we all struggle with it, especially with the eating habits. Especially with the eating habits, we struggle with it all the time. You could not imagine how much we struggle with it. You know, before I got diabetes, I never knew. Sugar is everywhere. It's in everything. It's in everything. If you go to the supermarket and you look at the back of a box and see how many grams of sugar is in something, you would not believe it. Next time you go to the grocery store, go pick up a can of vegetables. Pick up something. Pick up a can of fruit. Pick up one of those box dinners in the frozen section and see how many grams of sugar is in there. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. And let me just say this about the sweeteners. Now, I use Sweet and Low, but it's a processed sweetener. Splenda is processed. I don't use Splenda. I don't like Splenda. It's not that I don't like the taste. I think the taste is okay. But upon me doing my research, I've discovered and found out that Splenda is something that is not degradable. It's not degradable. They have found Splenda floating on the top of the water in the ocean. And it just sits up there. It's a processed sweetener. Just like Sweet and Low. Sweet and Low is a processed sweetener. And guys, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, you can have some agave. It's a processed sweetener. It's a sweetener. Agave is the worst. It's the worst. That's natural sugar. Sugar in the raw. Natural sugar. It's not good for you as a diabetic. Now, let me just tell you about this. There is a surgery now that you can have to reverse your diabetes as well. It's called pancreatic transplant. It's a pancreatic transplant. What they do is they take your old pancreas out and replace it with a new one from a donor. But here's the problem. In order for you to have that surgery, you have to be a type 1 diabetic. If you're a type 2 diabetic, you cannot have that surgery. It's against the law. Yeah, it's against the law. All right, we're going to answer some questions. Yes, I do. I do practice a low carb lifestyle, Melissa. I do. I practice a low carb lifestyle. I don't. I really stay away. I really try to stay away from processed foods. I really don't like eating at fast food restaurants, although sometimes I will eat at McDonald's. Sometimes I do eat Taco Bell, but that's really about it. And that's very sporadically. I really don't eat a lot of processed foods. Um, I have a great husband. He's a great cook. and he cooks me healthy meals like baked chicken and baked fish and things like that. I do at times enjoy some fried chicken, not a lot, but like I said, I do things in moderation. That's what works for me. So yes, I do practice a low carb diet lifestyle. Yes, the brown sugar lady, yeah, the Splenda. Yeah, like I said, I've done some research on it, and that is what I discovered. I discovered that it is a processed sweetener, just like any other processed sweetener, but there's something about it. I don't know what it is. There's something about it. It's not degradable. So it is my assumption. This is just my assumption. If they find it floating at the top of the water, then I could imagine what it's doing as it's going through your system. So that's why, I'm really not a big fan of Splenda. Well, yes, I see my husband saying Truvia is better. Actually, none of them are. Any processed sweetener is not good because eventually what will happen is it has an ingredient called saccharin in it. That's what it's called. It's an ingredient called saccharin, and saccharin has been known to cause cancer in lab animals and in people. So, you can have the sweeteners. I do use them, but you have to use them with the knowledge of knowing that that is one of the ingredients that is included in, artificial sweeteners. Well, seafood diets are good. They are good, Terry. Seafood diets are good, but remember, you have to get your protein. You have to have some type of protein in your diet. You need the protein in your diet. Yeah, honey is bad. Yeah, honey is bad. Honey is bad because honey is a natural sweetener. So you want to stay away from the honey. You want to stay away from any natural sweetener. You want to stay away from the fruits like the oranges and the apples and the grapes and things like that because those are natural sweeteners. That's natural sugar. That's 100% natural sugar. So when you consume these things, it will bring your blood sugar up. Yes. Now, also, let me just, I also want to share with you, a new device that I have. And I think I shared this on Coffee with the Kings, but I want to share it with you guys again. Now, they've made so many great strides in diabetes and managing diabetes. And if you just currently got diagnosed, or if you're a person that has to test your diabetes, this is what I suggest. I suggest that you get yourself a CGM. Now, CGM is a continuous glucose monitor. Okay. The continuous glucose monitor it's a sensor that you put on your arm. And what happens is you can scan your arm and test your blood sugar. I have one on my arm now. I just don't want to take off my jacket, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay. This is the sensor. It's called mine is a Freestyle Libre. Okay. The sensor comes in this little container right here. Like I said, it's about the size of a little circle. It's a little white circle. It comes in here, right? And what happens is I take the sensor and I put it on my arm with this. I just take this and I stamp it on my arm like this, and the sensor comes and stays on, and it stays on for 14 days. I can take a shower, I can do anything I want, and this sensor is not going to come off my body. It's on there now. And all I have to do is I take my smartphone, or for me, my iPhone, and I just take it, put it up to my arm, right? And I scan. And there we go. I just tested my blood sugar. Okay? So, that's one of the devices that they have. A lot of insurances don't cover it. The device costs about $70. And like I said, the sensor lasts for 14 days. Now you're going to need 2 sensors per month. Now it's going to cost you about $134 because they're like $62 per sensor. But I'm going to show you how you're going to save, and you're going to save a lot of money. Because if you are a person that pricks your finger and tests your blood sugar, okay, you're buying test strips. 50 test strips cost $50. 100 test strips cost $100. The sensor costs $64, and you can test your sugar as many times as you want. With a tester where you have to prick your finger, you have your limitations. If you're a person like me who has to test their blood sugar 4 times a day, that's 120 test strips. So that's $120. Okay. But versus this is $64. It saves me $60 a month. And I can test my blood sugar anytime I want. I can test it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day if I want. Versus having, a regular diabetes tester where I have to take a strip, then I got to prick my finger, I got to make myself bleed, and then I got to test my blood sugar. Yeah, so that's what I want to share with you guys. So this has been part 1 of surviving diabetes. I thank you all for joining me. Thank you so very much. Please stay tuned, as I will be back with you on next Thursday to share with you another segment of surviving diabetes. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to write me at TheMcRaeKingz@gmail.com. Okay? And also make sure you're following us, the McRae Kingz, on all social media platforms. Of course, you know what those are. If you wish to join the McRae Kingz channel, please, by all means, hit the subscribe button. Or if you'd like to become a knight at our round table, by all means, sign up for membership. It's only $9.99. Now, let me just say something about our membership. We had 3 tiers of membership. We only have 1 now. The 1 membership is $9.99, and not to fret, you people that had the platinum and the gold membership, please do not fret. You will be reimbursed, but you will have to register for membership because the other 2 tiers have been removed. Okay, so. With that being said, guys, I'm out of here. Make sure you walk in love, peace, sunshine, happiness, and all those great and beautiful things. And always remember, this Team McRae all damn day. Talk to you soon.